Well, welcome to Through the Eyes of Survivors. There's a phrase I keep hearing: the system is broken. But after years of doing this work, and after hearing story upon story and living it myself, I'm starting to wonder, what if the system was never built for us in the first place? And tonight's episode is going to take you into three devastating stories. And I want to be clear, this isn't about isolated cases or shocking headlines. It's about a pattern. It's about a system that tells survivors to follow the rules and then watches them die. And you're going to hear about a mother who and caregiver who was pushed too far into silence and depression, and she made choices she shouldn't have made. And you'll hear about a woman who did everything right in every form and every step, and still ended up with her life taken at her workplace because someone didn't do their job. And we'll end it with what could be a win: a court finally standing up and saying, yes, survivors' lives and safeties matter more than weapons. But even that is going to be good only if it's enforced. So, this episode isn't going to be easy. It's going to be real because this is uncensored. And if you're not telling these stories in full, then we're a part of the silence that keeps hurting people. So, settle in and let's get ready. This is Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored.
Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important notice:
Well, welcome back to Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored. Amanda is here with me, and we're not going to sugarcoat the truth and apologize for demanding justice today. So, I'm your host, Tara Woodlee, and we're just going to tell it all tonight. But before we get into that, we're going to give a shout out to our affiliates. Truth Finder will take a quick moment to tell you about something that can be really empowering in your journey towards safety and healing. It's called Truth Finder, which is a simple tool that helps you uncover public records and background information about people you may encounter in your life. Whether you're reconnecting with someone from your past or just want to ensure the people around you are trustworthy, Truth Finder provides you with the information you need to make informed decisions. And here at Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored, we're all about creating that safe space and giving survivors the tools they need to reclaim their power. So that's why we're excited to share Truth Finder with you. I have used it. It is a great tool. And it's something that can help you take care of your security and your peace of mind. So you will find that in the link below. And then Opus Clip, of course. Opus Clip is an AI-driven platform that helps turn powerful podcast moments like this into short, impactful clips. And if you want to amplify your voice in spreading awareness across any platform, consider using Opus Clip. We have a link down below for that as well. And lastly, the Self-Defense Keychain Store. We're proud to partner with them. This is a woman-owned and based business committed to empowering individuals with practical, discreet, and stylish self-defense goals. And by shopping through our affiliate link, you invest in your personal safety, plus you help support survivor programs here at Break the Silence. So go over and check them out and use the code Break the Silence for 10% off. So, welcome, Amanda. It's been a long week, hasn't it?
It's been a long week, Tara.
Yes, we thank y'all for joining us. So, we're going to step into our first segment, talking about Emily Long. So, they say mothers are warriors and that women carry it all, and that caregivers are angels, right? In
Mhm.
scrubs and in their sneakers, and how they never fall apart. But in this case, um, this woman was both. And Emily Long's story just did not begin with violence. It began with a woman taking care of her husband out of love, correct, Amanda? Do you want to go into some of that?
Yes, this is a really sad story that has really brought up a lot of conversations all over the place because of the nature of what happened. So,
Oh, oh, I think Amanda has frozen. So I'm gonna give Amanda. I think she's frozen. I think it wasn't me. So I'm gonna give Amanda a chance to come back in, and I'm gonna say, it definitely it began with her husband, who was had terminal brain cancer, and she was helping to take care of him. Right. And from what I understand, Emily was journaling her story on TikTok. And if you have seen her story, I mean, drop that in the comments and below and let me know your thoughts on that if you had seen what she was doing over there. But I know she was journaling and chronicling her trauma of her exhaustion and her hopelessness and her pain that she was feeling um, on a daily basis. And you definitely could see she was unraveling. It was obvious all across the platform and those who watched her. Um, so it's been very open and out in the public, right? And so in those final days, she posted videos that definitely hinted at the pain, but then one morning, Emily took her husband's life. She then took the lives of two of her children and then herself. One child managed to survive. So let that sit with you. Because, I mean, this isn't about labeling Emily as a villain or a victim, because a lot of the talk in media has done one or the other. But what we were wanting to bring out by bringing out the story is asking how many Emilys are out there now, smiling through the pain. They're dying behind the scenes. They're trying to keep it together. And what are we doing to keep them from reaching that edge, right? Because everybody was seeing it on TikTok. They were seeing the collapse that was going on with Emily. And was there anything we could have done to help in that? So, I would love to see what your thoughts are um, on that in the comments while we're waiting for Amanda to come back in. Uh, you know, I definitely have a distinct opinion of my own, because I do believe that no matter what the cost, it shouldn't have ended with Emily taking her life and the life of her family members. But what is the psychological cost of long term caregiving, especially for somebody who has a terminal illness? Um, is there something you think we can do better that could have prevented this kind of thing happening? Um, that's the biggest question that we have out there. So give your thoughts and I'll read them out loud here. And since I'm flying a little solo while Amanda's trying to get back in, she messaged me she lost her internet. So we're going to wait on her to come back in. Um, but do you think that that's um, some people are excusing what happened, what she did, because of that psychological breakdown that she was having, and many people are not, buying that, of course. But her TikToks did show huge signs of emotional collapse, and people missed them or they dismissed them, and that's what's really disturbing to me in the end. Um, to have those dismissed, to not get her the help, or get her family the help when those signs were being seen is very disturbing. So oh, is Amanda
I'm back.
here?
I'm back. I'm so
Okay,
sorry. I
wonderful.
had a connection lost. Our whole internet went down for a whole minute. But we're back.
Yeah, that's okay, I've been doing good solo. I've
I am
been
so
trying to
sorry. I was like, is Tara gone? And I was like, it's me gone. I was
no,
just
it's
talking
alright.
away.
Yeah,
So
so I
I'm
was trying to
sorry.
encourage the audience on the level of, like, their thoughts on Emily. So let me get your thoughts on that. Do you think like that Amanda, the fact that she was having this breakdown was any kind of, you know, reflection on our society today, on the what was happening with her over there and the signs she was showing on TikTok?
I do. I do. Personally, I think there was a lot of red flags. I feel that sometimes we take people's personal crises as entertainment on social media, and we really don't take the severity of what's happening in front of us. Even when she was talking in that, because I did not see any of her videos until after the incident. That's when
Right,
it
me
started
too.
circulating more. And what was concerning to me was her eyes. She looked so disconnected from the world. And to me, it was like she was in kind of like emotional psychosis, where
Yeah.
she was just like completely, because way that she was talking about her husband, and again, I mean, no one wants to lose their husband, and every woman does love their husband, and he, in a way that she spoke about him, like, my husband does put me into place, and he's my better half, and those are all great things. Those are all great things to have a husband who does healthily tell you how to be better and be productive, and to help with your flaws, and to be able to. But it was to the point where, not, she wasn't saying it directly, but she was saying, I can't do this without him. I can't function without him. I can't be a person without him. I'm not going to make this without him. And no one was really seeing that there was a mental health crisis behind it. It was more of they felt that she was grieving her husband, which rightfully so, but there was a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more behind that because it wasn't just the grief of his terminal illness.
Mm-mm,
Yeah.
mm-mm, no,
No.
no.
And it's disturbing
So
to
that was the hard part.
me. Because
Yeah.
how in the world did she go from there to the point of taking her children with her? And that's what's the most disturbing thing. How much?
And that to me,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean,
You
and
got a lag.
I'm gonna
You
be
go
honest.
ahead. You go ahead.
Of course, now we got the lag going. Internet's not being kind tonight. So as a mother, my children were the reason I stayed. So I don't understand how you would make that decision to not stay, but also take your children with you. I can't. So to me, there was some kind of way in her brain she felt this was the best for all of them. I mean, and there was one younger child that was spared. That
Right.
she did not, I think it was the youngest. So that was odd to me that there was one that was spared, because you would think if it was calculated and she wanted all of the, and to me, the first thing I thought in my head is that poor child and what they're gonna have to live with, and the, like, the survivor's guilt and the trauma and the understanding of, what happens. I just, I can't, as again, I cannot fathom how in her head that was the best, you know place. And that's why I'm saying again, I don't think she was in a healthy state of mind at all, because that was not a sound-minded
No, well,
decision.
obviously, yeah, she definitely wasn't. So,
Mhm.
and a lot of people thought she was extremely strong.
Yes, yes, and that could be another thing. A lot of people actually that struggle will show being strong as a mask, because that's a sign of weakness for some people. They don't want people to know that they're struggling. So that actually puts you further into not wanting to ask for help. And I think that's what she was struggling with. I think she was struggling coming out and saying, this is too much, because she did love her husband. And I think sometimes as a mother and a wife, we don't want to say our husband being sick is too much for us. Our children being dependent on us while we're taking care of the sick husband is too much for us. And so I think it just kept getting worse for her. And people were not reaching out because they're like, oh, she's got this. She's good. She's so strong. You you know Emily. Emily's such a strong personality. Emily's, she is a caretaker and all this stuff. So I think we really have to understand that, like, just we can't take things as front face value. And it really doesn't take much just to say, hey, is there anything I could do for you? And they could tell you no, but at least, it was given. The chance was given.
Well, you and I both know, and the survivors who are watching out there, how good we are at putting up the facade.
Hmm.
Of actually, we are falling apart inside, but you've got to make it look like everything is great.
Absolutely.
And so, as survivors out there everywhere, of course, we know what that looks like. Um, and so, I mean, Amanda, like, what do you think some of the signs of burnout in people are that we often miss in our loved ones? And I'd love to hear from our listeners too on that, what they think are some of the signs of burnout that we can actually see as friends and family members.
Absolutely. So I know personally, withdrawal. If
Hmm.
you have a friend that is continuously like someone that you talk to on a regular basis, or you guys have like a quarterly kind of conversation, but you see them kind of pulling,
Hmm.
um, quick to be angered
Hmm.
over the smallest things, um, shutting down. I know a lot of people, when they start to burn out, they'll start letting go of certain things, responsibilities, not wanting to interact, not wanting to go out to places that they used to do that they enjoyed. They'll stop and letting things that, like, hobbies, certain things be enjoyed anymore because of um, confusion, not
Hmm.
remembering things. Um, yeah, I think even just a little bit of emotional meltdowns that are just random, like, not, just they'll start crying, and it's not even something that you fulfill was like even worth, to you at a moment. You're like, oh, they're really upset, and that's not something I would at this moment cry about. But to me, I know when you're emotionally in a place where you can no longer hold certain things together, the littlest things is what breaks you. So
Right.
I would even say, like, even watch for certain behavior changes. So we do have some comments though. Um,
Yeah.
let's see here.
Jim says we're responsible for our own actions and therefore have to accept the consequences. Yes. And Jeannie said she has been there and done that.
Yes.
And Jim again says, had she taken her own life, I could only see having compassion for her situation, but to take the lives of her children, no. And I agree with that. And I don't want the listeners to think that we're in any way condoning. We're not. The question is being proposed as to what could we have possibly done in the society that may have prevented this.
Right.
Um, because that's just a tragedy all the way around for a whole family to be gone like that. So, absolutely. So, what we're going to do is take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment, but first, we want you to check out our BTSADV store. Every item you buy, every hoodie, tote bag, or tumbler helps fund our survivor programs, retreats, and advocacy work. So, Amanda will play that, and we'll be right back. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now open. And this is a great way for you to not only help survivors of domestic violence, but also let everyone know that you will not be silent about this important cause. From t-shirts to bags to coffee mugs, we have so much to choose from. To grab your swag, head to our store at breakthesilencedv.org. That's store.breakthesilencedv.org. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate all that the community does to help support us and this organization. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode and continue to subscribe to future episodes. Thank you. We hope you're all right. We're back, and thanks for checking that out. But let's get back to it because this next story is a brutal reminder that following the rules does not always keep you safe. So, um, imagine doing everything right. You leave, you go to court, you fill out the forms, you get the protective order, you believe just for a moment that maybe now you are safe, and then the system drops the ball. I will tell you, my family don't have to imagine. It happens. And that is exactly what happened again in this next story. And it happened in Detroit. The woman got a protective order. It was approved, but it was never served. And before the ink on the paper even dried, her abuser walked into her workplace, which was a hospital, and took her life there. So, Amanda, do you want to give us some more details on this? Because this is just, this kind of story infuriates me because we've lived it. So,
Yeah, I even reading this article, I cried.
mm-hmm,
Um, One thing that her name was Latricia Green,
mm-hmm,
and one thing that she wrote in her protective order, because as those who've done protective orders, kind of like writing your affidavit, you kind of got to write out a good bit of stuff.
right,
And one of the things that she put in there, I'm asking for help before this goes too far and it's too late.
mm-hmm,
And because someone didn't do their job, it was too late.
yeah,
Um, and again, this was her ex husband. Um, again, she was doing, as you said, everything she could to
mm-hmm,
protect herself. Um, and he walked right into the hospital where she was working
mm-hmm,
with a firearm and took her life.
mm-hmm.
Um,
It's one of those instances where the system definitely screams at you, we do not have your back. And I've been there where, this is not a rare incident. It is so common. The legal system is so filled with gaps, and the gaps are wide enough to bury women in. And no matter how many forms survivors fill out, uh, if no one acts on them, then what is the point? What is the point?
I feel that That is a very dangerous time for a survivor. And as people in law enforcement, anyone who's involved in this process of a PFA, this should be the most precious and most segregated and protected thing that they're doing. Because we always talk about as survivors, advocates, that the most dangerous time is when you are leaving your abuser. And
Mm-hmm.
any kind of mess ups, any kind of holes, any kind of even leakage can get you killed. You can even, Tara, your daughter was doing everything she was supposed to, and
Mm.
she was taken. So as the system and people who are telling us to do these things, we are coming in and we are following the orders of the law in the system. It is your job to make sure that you're protecting us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Say in Ashley's case, when they went to go serve him, um, she told him he's hiding through a hole in the floor under the house. I promise you, when you go, he'll be hiding there. And they were too scared to look. And the officer admitted it in court. Of course, after the fact, after my daughter's gone, after he's taken her life and his.
And
That's
that's,
the kind of thing that makes you sick.
yes, because I can't, with my personal situation when I filed, they let him come back in our house to get stuff for work. My best friend, and it was two of my best friends. It was a male best friend because we wanted him there for protection for us because we did not trust. We did not. My best friend was like, I don't trust this, which gratefully I'm glad she didn't. And it was me and her, and my oldest was a newborn. And we heard a knock on the door and we had a peephole. And my best friend went up and she said, "It is your ex with two cops." And we opened the door and they're like, he needs to get his stuff. And I remember her arguing with them saying, she has a temporary PFA. She's going to court tomorrow to like what? They had to hide me in the bathroom. They had to hide me in the bathroom. Well, later when the cop came by after this whole incident dissolved, he said, "Well, I'm surprised your friend wasn't trying to fight your ex." I said, "He was trying to be calm for me and my child." Like, why would a cop even make that comment about, like, even a joke? Like, I was so like, no, you guys were not, like, were you trying to entice something? Did you want them? Did you guys want to get two people arrested? Like, that was so odd to me. And that was during a PS. So anytime I see stuff like this, Tara, unfortunately, I feel like sometimes it's 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 more like you're signing your final rights than you're getting protection in certain circumstances. Like, I just don't know sometimes that this is always.
Oh, and I know. I absolutely know. If I had a dime for every time I have heard across this country, especially here in the state of Texas, but there's many states that have the same law, that the couple has separated and she's still in the home, and yet he breaks in, even
Mhm,
if she's changed the locks, he breaks in and starts taking things or threatening her, and the cops get called, and they say, well, we can't do anything, we can't arrest him or anything, this is his house too,
mhm,
it's his property.
mhm,
So if he wants to break in the door to come get his stuff, he can. His name is on the mortgage, it's on the lease, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's got to be a better system and a better way, especially for those who, this you tell them if they do everything that they're supposed to do, they sh- then they should be safe,
mhm.
and yet you're not.
No, not at all. And that's the thing. And then we are criticizing women for not leaving.
Hmm.
We are saying, well, why didn't she get the help? Why didn't these are the instances, though. And I mean, I even went back after that situation because of how horribly I was treated in the system and didn't feel that I was going to be protected. I felt more safe in just trying to manage it on my own than trust other people to manage and protect me. And that is sad. That's more dangerous. I don't recommend that. I would never recommend that. But unfortunately, in my brain, in the mode that I was in, that was my rationalization for what was happening.
Absolutely. And we'd love to hear from the listeners out there. If you filed a protective order, did you have experiences like this? Did you feel heard? Did
Yes.
it get delayed? Because, that's the question here. Are the police departments really equipped? Or how about this? Are they even willing to enforce these protective orders? As in my experience, a protective order is, of course, you hear people say just a piece of paper, but it's worse than that. It is the offering of hope when it actually means nothing. You're giving false hope. And that's what our family experienced. We had false hope the next charge, the next time we refiled an order. It was heartbreaking to turn around and realize that everything that was you did, everything that was said to you, everything was done just led to nothing. It was a whole lot of effort for no results. And that's what gets me about the system.
Mm, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Let's see. Jim says it is important to understand that where domestic violence is concerned, the authorities and the written laws cannot always protect us. Unfortunately, it is incredibly important to develop a plan to protect yourself and escape if it's the worst case scenario occurs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even then the danger is extreme. Exactly. So
Mhm.
that's a good point there, Jim. So um let's just go over that for a little bit. Oops, I've lost myself here. Here we go. Got a little technically challenged there for a minute, but um, so that's a good thing to plan for. Definitely
Mhm.
safety plans and stuff. But even in
Absolutely.
her case, do you really think you have to have one at work? And most time we don't.
No,
Most of
no.
the time, we don't think about it on that level.
Well, and hospitals are big, right? Like hospitals isn't like working at a bank or working at a small office or
Well,
working at
cops
like
are even in and out of hospitals
right.
all
And
the
I mean, they have security guards.
time. Mhm.
Those, I mean, like you. So for her, she probably felt he was not going to be that bold. She probably felt, you know, to me, I feel that but we have to understand those men when they get to that dangerous part of their abuse and possession and losing control, their rationality's gone. It's gone.
Absolutely,
They no
totally.
longer see the consequences. They no longer see, security cameras. All they see is that anger and that need to take control back.
Mhm.
And they're obsessed with it. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen it with my ex, even in behaviors of his when he lost control of my emotions and my reactions. Because once they see you disconnect and they fully are watching you go, you're no longer giving them those reactions and they don't think they no longer have, then that's when that's anger. And I
Mm,
think that's what happened. And she knew that and I mean, they caught him on security cameras walking in with a backpack that
mhm.
held the weapon. So I mean,
Yeah, I just think it's definitely I would have felt safe working as a nurse in a hospital.
I feel
I
safe
would
as
have
a
felt
patient.
totally safe.
I felt safe as
And
a patient. Yeah. So I
mhm.
don't even.
I would have felt unsafe, like, if I was going to my car to the parking lot,
Mm,
I would have never thought in a million years he'd walk up into work. And so that's the area where we have to start thinking as well. How
right.
can we protect ourselves even in those instances?
Yes.
It's become extremely important.
I agree.
And it's sad. We have to think that way, right?
Absolutely. I
So,
agree. I mean, because a lot of people think that domestic violence is always at home, right? Like that's a at home thing, that doesn't have, oh no, that is not the issue. So even I mean, coworkers could have been hurt.
well, that's the
Life could
thing.
have been taken. Like I was even reading this article. I mean, wonder if someone tried to protect her. Wonder if an innocent. Wonder if there was a security guard just doing his shift, and he's a father and a husband. Regardless, like someone, just a human life taken because of this incident, and it would have been nothing. And and unfortunately, some people would have pointed at her, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been her. It was the fact that they did not take the precaution to protect this man from her and the community, because that's really what they're protecting him, not just from her, the community around her.
Yes, and so many people don't realize this definitely could have been a big one with collateral damage, what they call it.
So bad.
So
Oh my
there
god.
are statistically 3 to 4 women every day here in America who die during a domestic violence incident, whose lives are taken, and but the number triples daily from collateral damage. So you lose 3 in a day, but you're going to lose 6 more people in collateral damage. That's other family members, friends, co-workers, your church members. People don't realize how big that spills over.
Big time. Big
Big
time.
time.
Big time.
Yes.
I agree. I agree. And
So yeah, we got to do better. We got to
oh,
do better.
I agree. I agree. And I think that if maybe we start looking at just not the person, but it's a whole, like, right? It's a whole. Like we're protecting a whole community, not just one person, then maybe we can understand the dynamic of how crucial this is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So normally we'd have a break in this segment here, but we had some technical difficulties. So I'm just going to talk to everybody real quick about, if you have not checked us out over on TikTok, we are on TikTok. It's BTSADV7. Love for you to join us. We're starting to grow over there, which is a really good thing because we want to take this podcast over there, but we've got to have at least 1,000 followers. So we're counting on you, our BTS family here, to get over there and like and share and follow us over there. We're doing some things over there that are a little different than here. If you haven't seen our Narc Diaries segment over in TikTok, it is like really growing like gangbusters. It's on every Wednesdays and Sundays, where in the Narc Diaries we discuss the things that narcissists say to you, and people input what their narcissist has said to them, and I read it out loud, and ooh, some of that stuff. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So go over there because people are really actually getting excited about that. And we really would love for you to join us because we want to take like TikTok over on TikTok and start holding discussion panels, survivor discussion panels where you can come in and talk to us over there. So yes, please go over there and like and follow us. So let's get to our last segment here. Um, so we are talking about, let's see, the Washington court ruling on firearm surrender orders. And so we actually got a ruling that is going to make a lot of people, I imagine, very happy. So, Washington State Court of Appeals made it crystal clear that if you're under a domestic violence protective order, the state has the right to take away your firearms. So that's really big. The court ruled that survivors' rights to safety outweigh an abuser's right to own the firearm. And that has been very controversial in many states in many ways. Uh, but I will state like the statistics of it as far as a reality. When a firearm is in the home, survivors are 5 times more likely to die to a domestic violence incident, and we know that we have that data, right? Um, but under uh, the active restraining orders, they are in Washington state taking those weapons from the abusers during that time period. So it sets a precedent for sure.
Yeah.
Amanda, what are your thoughts on that? And we'd love to hear from the audience as well.
I think that it's wonderful. I do. I've been saying this for years. I feel that to have a firearm is a privilege. It's not a need if you are not able to handle that privilege. And if you have any kind of domestic case on you, you should have to surrender them. Because the problem that, as we saw in the last case, even if her PFA went through successfully, he still would have had that firearm. He
Right.
still would have had it. And that is one of the things that I feel, that if you are having proof of domestic violence and being violent, then you should not have access to weapons that can further harm.
Right. So I know there's a lot of it's very tricky because anybody who supports the Second Amendment,
Absolutely.
that is a very tricky thing because the right to have firearms is guaranteed on our
Right there.
Constitution.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is judging off of
No,
that method, but,
no, no,
the
never.
laws of, like, if you have a restraining order, then the court has deemed that you have a problem. There is a problem there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
I don't, and again, I mean, I think that, again, as you said, we're not deeming to take that right away from people who should have that right. Absolutely, that's not. But when someone is been actively proven to be violent, that's where they're not going to treat that responsibly. They're not. And we need to be able to protect survivors in that way. I understand that there's also like the devil's advocate, right, Tara, where people say,
Mhm.
well, they can hurt them, not with just weapons, their hands, and I 100% agree. But we don't want to give them more easier
Well,
access.
that's the point. They already hurt him with their hands.
So if
They
this
already
happens,
showed a propensity that they were going to.
they're showed what they're capable of doing. So I think we have to
Exactly.
understand that if they're it's the cheap way, right? I that's a cheap way of hurting someone. That's an easy, and I feel that if we give them that option to have that, especially in circumstances, as we just talked about in my last segment,
Mhm.
we're just feeding the fire.
Well, and so many times in these incidents, I know it happened with me, I know it happens to so many other people, the firearm has already been used in your face
Mhm. I
and
had I've had
used
a firearm.
to threaten you.
Yes, I have had a firearm used as manipulation of him wanting to unalive himself because of how I made him feel. And
Right. Yeah, I've had that too.
um and I was promised when that firearm was bought that he would never use that firearm to threaten me, to do anything reckless. And then 2 years later, I took out my vocal cords from screaming because of that firearm. Um, so I understand. I understand how it can be used in so many different ways. And I can tell you personally, living with a man who was abusive, who had firearms, he should have never, and I should have never had firearms.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the important thing that I would love the public to understand is like this isn't like usually when you're with a partner who has firearms like that, uh they haven't just sit in the cabinet while abuse is happening. So many times they've already threatened to the lives of those around them or their own lives that it it's huge, the numbers on that the times that has happened. And I think that's part of why this is such a big deal to so many people, and the public kind of understanding that who hasn't been in that situation. Because I understand, I'm a big proponent for the Second Amendment. I absolutely
Absolutely,
am.
absolutely. As a survivor
Um,
myself, big time.
yeah, I'm personally,
Yeah.
believe in my right to protect myself in that
Mhm.
manner.
Yes,
But I
absolutely.
also know what it feels like to have that used at you.
Hmm.
And in the hands of somebody whose mental health is so unstable that it should not be in their
It should
hands.
not be their hands. No, no, no. Yeah, that has always been my argument. That's always been my argument. I would never take it away from someone that is mentally capable of owning one.
Well, and from what I understand in the laws, it's as long as the protective order is in place or until there is a conviction.
Correct. Correct.
So if the protective order gets dropped, they are going to get their firearms back.
I mean, because again, we all know that there is time false allegations in domestic violence, and there is men who unfortunately sometimes have women. I mean, we've talked about that in the past. We're not naive to it. So I mean, I would hopefully, if it was a false allegation, they should have the right to get their firearms back. I mean, I feel that they're being fair. I do. I feel like they are doing this in a justification way. It's just it's very hard though because again, I feel that it's crossing lines of Second Amendment, but also protecting survivors.
Right. And then the biggest thing for me is are they really going to enforce it? Kind of like the protective order. The protective order sounds really good.
Well, and here's the thing too. Can I play devil advocate again?
Yeah, sure.
There's some guns that are not registered that these offenders
Exactly.
have.
Because the one that was used on my daughter wasn't registered.
Correct. Correct. So,
So,
I mean, I understand the precautions that are being taken, and I again applaud it. I think it's wonderful, but I also see there's a lot of other back flaws and other questions that could be, again, as you said, Tara, is this going to be treated like a protected order, or is where they're gonna kind of kind of
mhm.
do it, kind of
Or
not?
do they misuse it like the law on, and this is the thing, or will they misuse it like the law on, it, you lay your hands on them, you're all going to jail. So even if a woman is defending herself, she goes to jail, right? So the law was meant to be done in a good way, but look at the collateral damage
Mhm.
that law cost. So many women have copped a domestic violence charge just for, and men even, for defending themselves against an attack. So the system is just broken. Like I said in the beginning, it's really broken. And I guess because we're all people who, you know, are just sinful in nature, there's going to be so much that you want to do good, but somebody always finds a way to screw it up and turn it into something evil, unfortunately. So,
Unfortunately.
mm, okay. Okay. Well, we did have a couple of comments, but I'm not so sure. Do we have a moderator with that one?
I'm gonna go ahead and see what we can do.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
just not cool. I don't know
Mhm.
if they're talking to us or somebody else, but that's not.
No.
But anyway, um, so we're gonna go on. Yeah. Well, we know that real enforcement begins with people who really care. That's the biggest thing. When people really care about their jobs and about other people and who they're helping, that's what when the true wins come. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, absolutely. So, I'm gonna wrap up in closing, just saying, that tonight's three stories um, definitely shows us like the lives who still should be here. You know, people who are crushed by the weight of what's happening and have mental problems coping. Um, whether it survivors who have been, failed by a system who said that we got you, and court rulings that could bring some safety, but really hard and difficult to enforce. We didn't tell these stories to shock you. We told you them because it's not rare. And it's the norm, unfortunately, for too many survivors out there who are navigating this system, right, Amanda? The system just isn't designed to help see them,
Nope.
let alone protect them. So, yet, time and time again, survivors are told to wait, follow that process, trust the very institution that let you down time and time again.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But how do you trust that process that keeps hurting people, Amanda? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
My goodness. Really, you're gonna have to start trusting yourself. Um, find
There.
find the
Mm,
people that will rally behind you, because there is advocates that do care. There is advocates that do see that the system is flawed. There's people out there. It's gonna be a small percentage more than a larger percentage. If you want me to be honest, there's gonna be more people that isn't going to be as helpful as you think they are. But trust the people that really are advocating for you, but trust yourself and
yes,
advocate
I
for
think
what you
that's
think is right.
yeah, I think that's some words of wisdom right there, Amanda. So if you're listening right now and you felt that kind of betrayal, we see you. And if you've done everything right and yet you still got burned, we've heard you. We've been there. And if you're here because someone you love didn't survive the failures in the systems, we're never going to stop speaking their name here. So, because here's the truth: change doesn't come in silence, and it comes from discomfort and anger and from people refusing to look away. So, if you're angry, stay angry. If you're grieving, grieve out loud. If you're tired, rest, but don't stop showing up.
Mm-mm.
And we're trying to make this platform in this space, it's not just about a podcast. We want to make it a reckoning. So share this episode and speak their names, demand some better laws, and know that um, e- everyone that you tell your story out there, it does matter. So um, that's how I'll end this episode. If you are watching us, be sure you check out our Survivors to Survivor segment every Friday. If you ever have a question, you can write into us and get an honest answer from a survivor who's been there. You can do that at podcast at breakthesilencedv.org. We would love to hear from you. And again, check out TikTok and all our other social media platforms. And Amanda, you want to give everybody a brief glimpse on the next week's episode?
Okay, so next week's episode, we are going to be having on a film producer, and she's going to be talking about her film that is a domestic violence, but also talks about trafficking, called Penelope's Story. So she's going to be coming on with another co-star from that film. So we are very excited to have them on and discuss. So yeah,
Awesome. Yes. So definitely join us next Wednesday at the same time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we look forward to seeing you then.
thank you guys.